Let's go over the Star Wars franchise when it comes to the original director, Colin Trevorrow, of Episode 9. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, as you all know, the big story that broke almost a year ago now, it was the summer of 2017 in which we heard the big news that the director of Episode 9, Colin Trevorrow, was fired by Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, etc., and that J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio would be stepping in to rewrite the whole entire script and essentially get ready for pre-production. Now, Colin Trevorrow had a lot of different ideas for his version of Episode 9, including a real detailed story of Luke Skywalker and Leia after Carrie Fisher's passing, of course. It all relied on Luke. And then as we went on, we lost Colin Trevorrow's version of Episode 9. However, in a recent interview, which by the way will be linked below in the description, he was actually questioned about his exact thoughts on the whole state of the Star Wars franchise when it comes to these list of firings that have taken place from many of the Disney-era Star Wars films, starting with The Force Awakens and ending with Solo: A Star Wars Story and Episode 9, which is of course himself. So the big thing here is that you have this consistency thing where both Disney and Lucasfilm keep letting people go. And this is what Colin Trevorrow had to say. Now, he had this to say: I know all of them. These are friends of mine, and I was very close to them through all of their experiences. And Star Wars is a very personal thing to all of them, to a lot of people. And there are some people out there, and I know folks might think we're crazy, but people like me who actually believe that there is an all-powerful force that binds the galaxy together. And when you're one of those people, you're dealing with your belief system. You're just not dealing with the movie. And so, yeah, this is a very personal loss. Now, that's what Colin Trevorrow had to say about all of the people, directors, writers, etc., that all began with The Force Awakens that were fired from all of these different Star Wars projects. And this, I feel, is the one big problem with Kathleen Kennedy. Whether you guys agree or disagree with me on this, that's fine. But this is the big thing that bothers me with Kathleen Kennedy, is she believes in either a certain director or directors or a writer or writers for a certain Star Wars project, and then as they near completion, they're either fired or just let go because of creator differences. Now, we've seen this constant trend of this happening in the Star Wars franchise that falls under Disney, and it's something that leaves fans feeling very insecure about, knowing the fact that either a certain writer or director will be sticking to that project until its release date in theaters. So for an example here, if we look at the D&D trilogy, right? The creators of Game of Thrones who will be writing a set of Star Wars films. For example, let's say if they're almost done with the first movie, and then out of nowhere they're let go. Now, you could see why that would bother a lot of fans out there if something like this were to happen again, because we've seen this happen over 3 times now, and, this has been happening quite a bit, and I really don't know why. I feel like that when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy, that's exactly why I feel that she's an individual that doesn't really know Star Wars down to the core. I feel like whoever her successor is going to be has to be at least a Star Wars fan, even if the person's a casual fan, because I'm not quite sure if Kathleen Kennedy really knows much about Star Wars in general. So I think that whoever's going to be the successor to Kennedy should, be like a person that really knows everything about Star Wars when it comes to, things from the EU or things that have to do with Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars and all these different movies and all the different canon. I think that a guy like Dave Filoni is the perfect choice. Now, sure, he's great at the creative side of things, but on the business end of things, that's a question for Dave Filoni. I know it's not just a job of, coming with ideas. It is a business. It's a business job. You're running a company, and you're not really just kind of like throwing ideas out there. So it would be very hard to exactly pinpoint who the successor to Kathleen Kennedy could really be. Now, I would like this to stop where we do see this constant trend of people getting fired from Star Wars projects, and I hope that we don't see it again. In fact, I think the more likely one to happen again is quite possibly with Rian Johnson. This is something that a lot of fans are just not confident in seeing. I've been seeing this everywhere on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. A lot of people don't want to see Rian Johnson writing or directing a Star Wars movie. Now, when it comes to me, yes, I will have to say that I am on edge about his set of Star Wars films because of how The Last Jedi and the feedback it got because of the decisions that were thrown in there by Kennedy and Rian Johnson. Now, looking at what Colin Trevorrow had to say, I think whatever he said right there was very emotional. It came out from the heart. And he does know all the people that were fired, whether they were writers, directors, from all these different Star Wars projects. Again, guys, this dates all the way back to like 2013, 2014. We've seen this big trend of people getting let go and fired from all these different projects that fall under the Disney Star Wars era. So, I think that to put an end to all of this, I think that somebody running Lucasfilm that really knows exactly what Star Wars is, I think that would put them in the right direction to essentially choose the right person who can do a great creative job at a certain Star Wars project. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.